everybody, I watched Blue Beetle and it was bad. We're not making fun movies anymore, now everything is boring and lame. The superhero bubble has burst. But I wanted to talk about this movie anyway because I think I am able to offer a little bit of insight on what I think they got wrong, because this movie is representation. Latino representation. And yes, I am completely pulling my Latina card on this, but I just wanted to say that yes, I do understand that Brazil and Mexico are two different cultures, two completely different countries. But I think I am able to comment on this because Latin America as a whole has a shared material reality of being victims of both the hard and soft power of the United States, and that materially impacts our shared reality. Like, technically Quebec would be Latin America because it is in America and it was colonized by a Latin power. But we instinctively know that this is not the case. Latin America isn't an identity based on objective natural circumstances. It is a designation that was created by the global north and the western powers to designate a specific share of circumstances and characteristics that the global north deems to be practical to see as being the separate category on its own. And I do believe that this is enough because this isn't about Mexico or a Mexican family living in Mexican circumstances. This is about a Mexican family that has to go to the United States. And the movie specifically mentions that they have difficulties there, and which is obviously the difficulties of a Latin American family living in the United States in the environment of the imperializers of Latin America. And honestly, I would be genuinely surprised if the bigwigs in charge of this movie could tell the difference between Colombia and Venezuela. So yeah, we're going to be doing this. I think that the biggest problem I have with this movie is that it's bad, it's boring. I don't think that there was anything really special about it. And usually studios wouldn't do a movie that is this generic. I mean, most superheroes have something of an identity, something that can distinguish them. And I fully believe that what this studio executive thought that was the distinguishing part of this movie that made it unique was a Mexican family. And I think that because there is like a scene, Blue Beetle actually loses his powers and he actually needs his Mexican family to save him.
So let me see if I've got this straight. You're going to interrupt your high-octane, big-balls, web-swinging, free-roam superhero power fantasy for the sake of some mandatory forced stealth sections playing as a mundane fuck, and you're doing this so that we don't get bored.
Unless this is like entirely out of context scene that the curators decided to use drugs and be like, yeah, let's put this fucking random scene in the movie that has nothing to do with anything, which I don't think was the case. So if it's not that, I think that it is part of the themes of the movie, you know, family makes me stronger. And they could talk about the glorification of the family in the Latin American community and how it's not really that healthy, but I recognize that this movie is about specifically immigrants in a foreign country, and I recognize that when you live in a culture that's not yours, the notion of community is very important, and remembering your roots and your family that is there for you is specifically important, so I'm going to let this slide. However, I am going to recommend a show called Jane the Virgin that is also about a Latin American immigrant family, but it does a better job at actually deconstructing the Latin American ideals of family, even if it does come to a good conclusion about family and that it's good after all. So let's actually begin talking about this movie. And you see, I think that the biggest problem is the protagonist, because we don't really know exactly who he is as a person. Like, we start the movie and we are told that he went through law school because he wants a better future for his family. Okay. Why law? why did you want to become a lawyer? You could say something about this, like, oh, because he cares about his community, his Latin American community, and he wants to defend people from being illegally deported or something. Or, oh, I want to defend my family from being accused of crimes that they didn't have because there's a lot of racism in the Latin American community. But there's nothing. I think that he just wants money, but like, why didn't he become a doctor, like an engineer? I actually expected him to be an engineer when I saw the trailer for this movie, because I saw the armor and it was all very high tech. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe he like built his armor somehow, or he understands the technology of the alien and tried to improve it. But no, he's just a lawyer. I actually like the uncle more than I like the guy. Like, the uncle actually feels like he wants to be a part of this movie. Don't you hate it when this happens, when you have an action movie, there's a bunch of crazy shit going on, and none of the actors want to be a part of it. They just want to fuck off and do something else. That's boring. I don't like it, especially in a superhero movie. Like, I like the uncle. He actually wants to do shit. He has cool stuff going on. He made a cool gadget that is able to stop high-tech security. He's able to hack computers and shit. And the protagonist doesn't do fucking anything. I think at one point they discovered the hideout of the original Blue Beetle that was Ted Cord. And the uncle actually says stuff like, oh my god, this guy was so cool, he was so funny, he had so many funny gadgets. Yeah, you know that you're doing a great job at Mexican representation when you make me wish that the protagonist was the white guy instead. I mean, if you're going to establish multiple Blue Beetles, I don't understand why you wouldn't do like a Spider-Verse kind of thing. You have like a more mature crime fighter with a younger one that is inexperienced. No. Honestly, I think that the representation of Mexican people is not working very well, because do you know something that Latin Americans absolutely love? Anime. If you gave a Brazilian some fucking bug Blue Beetle that made him fly and create shields and shoot lightning, do you know how that person would absolutely become? He would try to pull a Meteorite Pegasus, I don't know the real name. He would probably try a Kamehameha just right off the bat. And yeah, I'm not saying that necessarily all Mexicans are like that. You can have Mexican people with different personalities, obviously. But what I'm trying to get into is that the protagonist of this movie is really boring, and representation is not an excuse. He's not the only Mexican that's poorly characterized. His family also is kind of boring. Family is like their Mexican family. It's honestly bordering on stereotypical. You have the sister, which I think was funny, but she doesn't say much in the movie. The uncle was cool, I liked him, as I have said. Then you have the mom, doesn't do anything. The dad's like, oh, because I am an immigrant, that I went through so much work and so much towards family, and then he has like a heart attack, nobody fucking cares. And then there's the grandma that, like, it's so funny because she's actually super violent and shit. They think that this joke is so funny that they don't do it once, twice, 3, no, they do it 4 times. 4 times the same joke. Oh my god. And yeah, they are obviously bordering on stereotypes here. This is our Mexican family. It's big, it's loud, it's crazy, but they don't actually characterize them much beyond that. And yeah, it's kind of boring. And yes, Latin American families can be really big, can be really loud, can be really funny, but you can absolutely characterize the characters beyond that, you know? There are many Latin American shows that are able to do so. I think that if I were to pick the problem specifically that I have with Blue Beetle, why this representation thing really took me the wrong way, is that they treat representation as some kind of charity. Like, Warner Bros. Came out and said, yeah, we're a big American studio. We know that you poors, you Latin Americans, you don't get much representation. So we're just conceding it to you, just giving it to you because we're so nice. But yeah, that's the problem that I have with this kind of representations, because you're just looking from top to bottom. You're just saying, yeah, we're doing some charity. But you can actually learn things from us. You don't have to treat us as beggars on the street that you're just giving out shit. We have fun concepts that you could toy with. You know what is the biggest superhero here in Brazil? And the most popular, the one that people most like? Spider-Man. He's so big that I didn't even have to look up any kind of statistics in order to say this. He's just that famous. Do you know why? It's because he's a guy that works very hard and he's down on his luck, but he tries his best to be a superhero. He does a bunch of cool shit. He does flips and he does a bunch of crap. It's cool. We like seeing heroes do cool things. We like heroes that are fun. We like heroes that are funny, that are having a good time. Like, you actually put Chapulín Colorado in your movie. How did you not know this? Warner Brothers just looked at us and said, yeah, let's just put this boring guy that like really cares about his family because the Latin American family really needs to be represented. Like, I saw, there was this scene where Bruna Marquezine says a phrase in Brazilian, and I was supposed to feel so honored, so clappy, you know, like clapping in the theater. I don't know, it just felt so forced, you know? I guess that's the point that I'm trying to get at, you know, like, you can learn things from other cultures. Like, if you actually done some research on Latin American culture, you would know what kind of stuff we like. I don't know about other countries, but Brazil has a lot of fans of tokusatsus. I mean, why not do something like that? Something that, you know, it's actually fun, we actually like, and maybe actually learn about their culture, actually watch the kind of media that we do, and then learn from that. And I guess this is just what rubs me off the wrong way. I don't think the representation is looking down at people and just doing a favor like a lot of people say you have to do, you know. Oh, because you need to put LGBT representation. Oh, because you need to put black representation, Muslims, whatever, because it's a good thing to do. It's good representation. No, man, you should put them in your story because it makes it better. Because your character design is going to be better if everyone is racially different. Because you can engage with other ideals and cultures in an interesting way if you portray them in your work. Because you can open up your mind to new ideas and concepts that you didn't even know that they existed. I don't know. Just tired. So here's my recommendation to you, Warner Brothers. You tried it with the Latini representation, demographic, didn't work out. Maybe try with another one. Maybe try it with the gays. Have Blue Beetle kiss Booster Gold. I'll probably watch your movie if you do that.